St. Louis Blues forward Ivan Barbashev will be having a hearing with NHL player safety for an illegal check to the head that occurred in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals against Boston Bruins forward Marcus Johansson. In today's video, we're going to take a quick peek at the video, discuss what should happen, and will he be available for Game 6. We'll discuss all that coming up next. Welcome back to Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So last night's NHL action in the 2019 NHL Stanley Cup Finals was certainly an intense game between the St. Louis Blues and the Boston Bruins. Of course, we did see the St. Louis Blues end up winning the game and taking a 3-2 series lead, heading home to St. Louis for Game 6 to win the first ever Stanley Cup in franchise history. Now, unfortunately, last night, the referees once again were under the microscope and certainly being criticized for some calls and non-calls in last night's game. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how this manages to keep happening, but they keep managing to get more of the attention on them rather than the game itself. Now, there was an illegal hit to the head, at least it appears to be, from Ivan Barbashev on Marcus Johansson. If you haven't seen what happened here, here's a quick look at what happened. The first angle is going to be a replay from the game, and the second one is going to be a file that somebody put together here comparing this hit to what happened to Boston Bruins forward Marc Savard a number of years ago, and you can see the comparison. Have a look. Now, in my opinion here, it looks as though Barbashev gets all head. I've seen some people saying it's shoulder to shoulder. I don't see how that's even remotely possible when Barbashev's shoulder is coming straight at Johansson's face. I mean, the other part about this to me that makes it bad is if you can see in the angle there, the referee has a clear look at the play, and that should have been called. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I could understand letting some things go. I'm all for letting them play and letting the players settle it whenever possible, but there were certainly a few times last night when there were glaring penalties that should have been called and were not. The referees are kind of grabbing the spotlight here once again, but not certainly in a good way at all. The officiating has certainly come under fire here in the playoffs quite a number of occasions. There's been a lot of series that have had games impacted by calls or non-calls, and it's gone against and for both teams here at one point in time or another throughout the playoffs. So, overall, it's just not good. I've tried my best to defend the referees throughout a lot of the playoffs. I understand it's a very hard job. The game goes at an incredibly fast pace, and there are going to be times when things get missed. But the calls in last night's game, I don't think we can blame that at all. It looks as though the headshot on Johansson, as well as the game-winning goal that was eventually scored by David Perron on the non-tripping call that should have been against forward Tyler Bozak, both times the referees had clear-cut views of those situations and decided not to call penalties. So it was not a case of not seeing it. It was a case of being in good positioning and choosing not to. I guess they felt they were not penalties, which I really don't understand here at all. I understand you can't see everything and they miss things, and that's bound to happen. That's just the reality of sports and how things work. But, I don't really understand how this could not be penalized here. Taking into consideration that Barbashev was not penalized, I would suspect that there's a guaranteed suspension here, and it wouldn't even be shocking to me if he is given more than one game so that he be done for the rest of the series. They do factor in a couple of other things here other than the hit itself. Of course, they do look at what the call on the ice was, which there was none, so he hasn't been penalized at all. They do look at injury as well. I'm not quite sure on the status of Johansson, but obviously if he is hurt and cannot play, certainly that will play a role in this as well. However, I do fully suspect Ivan Barbashev likely won't be available here for Game 6. I'm not sure about Game 7 or if there even will be a Game 7. Of course, we don't know that yet, if necessary. But I don't think I'd be completely shocked here if player safety comes out and says that he's done for the remainder of the series. When you compare that hit to the Marc Savard hit that he received, that was a career-ending concussion. Now, so far, it looks as though Johansson is not hurt anywhere near like Savard was. But still, it's a very, very dangerous play. And it's a type of hit that they're working hard to get out of the game. So I don't understand with a clear view of that how that's not a penalty at all. So, of course, as always, I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions. What do you think of the Barbashev hit on Johansson? Should he be suspended? And if so, what do you think is appropriate here? Do you think one game, game 6 is enough? Or should they come out and say, you're done for this series, and that's that, and they'll have to be shorthanded without him here for the remainder of this final? If you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, subscribe for more content just like this one. Make sure you leave a comment with your opinion on how this should be handled down below, and I will catch you next time.